Hi there, Afagza Sifuna here. You know, losing one's job, especially if it is the only source of income that someone is relying on, is quite an unfortunate situation. That's why I'm making this video to share with you 7 business ideas you could possibly look to kickstart in case you lose your job or even while you're still in your current job. And by the way, for these 7 ideas, I'm going to discuss them in details, giving you 3 relevant examples under each of these 7 classes of business ideas. You might be wondering, why am I making this video? I'm making this video because it is necessary to share these ideas. We're living at a point in time where we're seeing out here many companies laying off employees, many companies firing employees. And just to give you an example, over the past 1 month, we've seen lots of layoffs, for example, happening in the tech space, in social media space, and so forth. Like about 2 weeks ago, we saw Elon Musk, the richest man on earth, after taking over Twitter for $44 billion US, he sent home 50% of Twitter employees. And just a few days ago, we saw the announcement by Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, whereby he announced that this group of companies, Meta, which has Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, just to mention a few products out there, is going to send home 11,000 employees. These are staggering numbers if you think about it. And in fact, it is more scary if you think about the dependency. The number of people out there who are relying on these employees for them to be able to lead comfortable lives, for them to be able to have hope of existence, more of which are living day by day out there. But one thing is certain. With the current situation in the economy globally, we're bound to see many more layoffs out there. We're bound to see many more people out there being fired. We're bound to see many more people out there being sent home. Given that's a very clear reality and a possibility for all of us out there in case we are in employment, what could we possibly do? First of all, to prepare for such an eventuality. And then secondly, in case it happens, which business ideas can we look to pursue out there? When it comes to preparing for such an eventuality, how can someone prepare, for example, for a layoff? Of course, most of the layoffs out here catch people off guard. But in the course of someone's employment, you can't be preparing for such an eventuality because it is something beyond your control, and yet it is bound to happen. In case it happens, it is unfortunate, but of course life has to move on. So the very first way you can prepare for such an eventuality is by ensuring you save money, right? Saving is going to be a very key thing for you to prepare for such an eventuality, because through savings are going to have a buffer which is going to keep you going for a few more months in case of such an eventuality. And then secondly, you can prepare for such by increasing your streams of income. I'm going to make a very separate video on how you can go about increasing your streams of income, but you being able to have multiple sources of income is going to assist ease the pressure in case one of such incomes dries off, even when it is the main source of income. And then the third thing you could possibly do is ensure you build long-term networks. Beyond the current constitution, which you have, for example, in your workplace, ensure you have long-term networks. I'm talking about the kind of friendships which are long-term beyond the current constitution. Of course, we all understand your colleagues are not your friends. Those are your constituents. But among your colleagues, you can have, for example, long-term friends. Within your circle, you can have long-term friends whom you can possibly share ideas with, even in future you can partner to form businesses and so forth, right? And then the fourth way you can prepare for an eventuality is by you attaching yourself to a mission. Never attach yourself to an organization to the extent that you have feelings for this organization. Yes, it is good to execute what you are required of by your contract, but never attach yourself to an organization. Always attach yourself to a mission so that in case it comes to parting ways, it's gonna be easy. You won't, for example, think your life is stuck because you are fully associating the given organization. Yes, you are bored by the mission, you working to support the mission, but never attach yourself to an individual organization, right? And then lastly, the fifth way you can prepare for such an eventuality is, in case it happens, live head high. And I'm saying so because the end of any given journey is the beginning of a new one. And it just might be the very, very key opportunity you've been waiting for you to be able to trigger or even unleash the beast in you, for you to be able to do other greater things out there. And having said that, these are the 7 business ideas you could look to possibly jump into in case you are laid off your employment. Idea number 1 you could look to delve into is the idea of doing repair or skill-based kind of gigs out there. What am I speaking to? I'm talking about you using your abilities to be able to trigger revenue. And just to give you an example, for example, in case you have additional skills beyond what is required, for example, in your specific job you're working in at the moment, you could look to exploit those. They could be hobbies, they could be side hustles, they could be skills, for example, you learned in your teenage years and so forth. For example, in case you know, for example, how to repair a mobile phone, right? Maybe you know, for example, how to do plumbing, right? Maybe you know, for example, how to play music instrument and so forth. You could use these skills which you have to be able to trigger you being able to start a business and in the process be able to make money. And by the way, for such, you need to understand that you won't even need an office, or even you won't really incur any upfront costs for you to be able to start getting paid. If you're good at something, you're going to just go outside there, look for customers, look for markets, and hopefully you're going to be able to turn that into a money-making business, right? And then a second business idea which you could look to pursue is the idea of doing online service. A caveat to this, you need to understand that rarely do online services pay much, but in case you don't have anything keeping you on or keeping you going, there's no harm in expressing this, right? Of course, you're going to have to work very hard for you to be able to make even double digits or triple digits, but you could look to jump into online service. And of course, talking about there being thousands and thousands of sites out there offering online survey and paying people to do the surveys, but of course, only a few of them are legit. To give you an example of 3 legit sites which I know, for example, are sites such as, for example, Google Opinion Rewards, which is actually by Google, which pays for people to do surveys online. Another site is Swagbucks, which of course are most likely we've even seen adverts out there relating to Swagbucks. And then other sites out there, for example, is branded surveys. And of course, as I stated, we have hundreds of legit sites out there, but also we have thousands of fake sites out there, which are that fleece your money in essence by you rendering effort, but you don't get payback. Okay? And then the third business idea you could look to exploit is the idea of you doing freelancing, or in essence, you doing outsourcing of a service to a given organization, right? Whether as an independent entity or even partnering with companies out there which do outsourcing. What am I speaking to? It is technically you still being in employment, but under better terms, which allow you freedom to do other things. And of course, you individually not being attached to any organization out there. You could be providing services out there as a freelancer, as an independent contractor, and the process be able to unlock time to do other things. Of course, you need to understand that most of the times, payment for such roles are not really that hefty. Of course, depending on the experience, payment might vary, but it isn't that hefty as compared to you, for example, being in full-time employment. But in case you find yourself in such a situation where you're out of employment, through layoffs, or even you being fired, you could look, for example, to perform such kind of tasks you're performing before by being a freelancer, lending these services which you had, the skills you had before, to other companies out there. And you can just be able to make money also through you doing freelancing. Of course, for these, you need to be very, very skilled so that you can be able to make money, right? And then the fourth business idea you could look to exploit is the idea of blogging. You know, with this penetration of internet continuing to increase year in, year out, it only calls for there to be more and more content on the internet, because people out there are consuming a lot of information, a lot of data. In case you have something to share with the world which is very unique, you could look to delve into blogging. You starting your own kind of content, you being able to share the content with the world the way you want to share it, and hopefully over time, you're going to be able to make money through blogging. For example, you making money through even paid adverts through Google AdSense or other sites out there which provide this kind of adverts on the websites out there. You, for example, jumping on promotions. You, for example, exploiting affiliate marketing and so forth. So through you blogging, you could be able to make money too online. And by the way, blogging is a very good gig because you could start it and in fact start making money as soon as you start these blogs. Mind you, the key driver is you being able to have traffic to command a given pay. And of course, we have multiple blogging engines out there. For example, talk about WordPress, talk about Blogger, talk about LinkedIn, Wix, and many more. It is you to do your own research to know which site out there is good to be the engine of your blog. And you're going to be deep in business with just a little amount of money, maybe paying annual subscription or even starting a free blog, which you can be able to convert into business after some few months, right? And then the fifth business idea you could look to jump into is the idea of social media influencing, right? Business related to social media have a lot of money. You can be an influencer. You can, for example, support someone to do search engine optimization and so forth. So anything related to social media, you're going to be deep in business because right now, let's face it, social media is a very big engine out there which people are using, for example, to know what is happening in the world, to market themselves, to put their status symbols out there and so forth. So you, in case you have a good following in social media platform, you could look, for example, to jump into being an influencer, to jump into even assisting someone optimize a search engine on this kind of sites out there, and you're going to be well in business. Of course, for this, it requires you to have a following or even for you to have good skills around search engine optimization and even you having good skills around managing people's accounts for you to be able to do any gig related to social media platforms out there. And then the sixth business idea you could look to jump into is the idea of you starting a YouTube channel. Exactly what I'm doing right now. You could jump in starting a YouTube channel and hopefully if you work hard at it, you're going to be able to convert it into a business which is going to be able to give you money through advertisements, promotions, and any other form of making money through YouTube out there. Of course, for this also it calls you for you to be patient, for you to be able to give value to people, and hopefully over time, they're going to be able to reward your input, reward your efforts by also ensuring your channel is monetized and you're going to be able to make money through YouTube. And then the seventh and the last business idea I want to discuss with you is the idea of you offering online tutorials to people out there who require them. And these could go by any skill. For example, in case you know a language, in case you know technical skills, for example, around data and so forth, you could, for example, think about scaling up how you out there disseminating these kind of skills to people out there as opposed to disseminating to one person. You could, for example, disseminate through different video conferencing platforms out there, for example, Zoom, for example, WebEx, and so forth. It's easy to decide how you want to go about it. And in case you have an audience, you have customers, you can also plan, schedule very well for you to be able to be extending these services to them. And then in the process, they're going to be able to pay you. In other words, having a subscription model through which they pay you and you teach them new skills, teach them languages, and so forth. As I look to conclude, I hope by now you've seen that even if you laid off, it won't be the end of the world. There's much more you can be able to offer the world and in the process be able to get paid. So do some searching, think what you're good at, and even if you're not good at anything, you can learn new skills. You can be able to package yourself to become a brand, and in the process is going to be able to make money. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I look forward to share with you other awesome videos next time. Bye bye, and you all take care.